Welcome everyone to the Sportswear Roundtable podcast. Today I've got someone special with me. I've got a really long-term and a really special Manchester United fan that I've known over the past few years. We've got Sarthak joining us from Delhi. And Sarthak, all of this, whatever is happening right now with Manchester United, you didn't really see it coming this season after the signings you had made, did you?
Thanks for the introduction, Shivam. And definitely not. And I don't think any even rival fans expected this for us to be this bad, this abysmal, week in, week out, especially after the place that we finished last season. We finished second behind City over Liverpool that crashed us yesterday. So no one saw this coming.
I mean, I'll come to the thrashing later. I mean, I remember us having conversations, and we always used to dream about this Ronaldo return and how it would be if he came back to Manchester United. It finally materialized this summer. We are getting to see what we wanted to see. But I, in general, always used to have a doubt whether how Ole is going to manage Ronaldo and how Ole is going to manage a player as big as him. What has been your first thoughts when you see the kind of connection which Ronaldo has with Ole, and the way he's been managed in the first 10 games of this season?
See, so far I see Ole trying to emulate Ferguson in a way by saying that, oh, I have to manage a 36-year-old and also an 18-year-old, trying to stamp his authority and all. And also he sings praises for Ronaldo in every press conference, calls him the greatest of all time. That's all right. But in games, you can see physically and visibly and through the body language of Cristiano himself, he's not happy. This is not what he signed up for, and this is not how he wants to play, or this is not how he wants the team to play. So there is an obvious disconnect that we don't see on the pitch, at least. But I don't see him managing Ronaldo like the previous managers used to do. Even Pirlo, I suppose, had a better relationship than him, at least on the field.
That might be right. I did watch one season of Andrea Pirlo, and I hate to say it, but he wasn't as bad as Ole has been during the first 10 games. But there has been a lot of talk about how Ronaldo has been playing as a lone striker. A large section of the fan base which Ronaldo carries with him is not happy with the fact that he's playing up front as a lone striker. And a large section of the Manchester United fans are not happy that he doesn't have the work rate which someone like Cavani has. So I mean, I have not seen Ole particularly being bothered about it or by trying to make changes. But what is your thoughts on that when you look at both sides of the coin? What is your thought on that?
See, three things come to my mind. First of all, him playing lone striker wouldn't have been an issue if we had played a flat midfield and a 4-3-3 formation, but we play 4-2-3-1. So our wingers are essentially midfielders. So he has to play an isolated role up front with absolutely no service some of the times. Like, we got rid of Lukaku for one reason, for the fact that he played an isolated striker role and he did not contribute to the fluidity of the front three. You got Cristiano Ronaldo, perhaps the best left winger in history, and you play in lone striker in a 4-2-3-1 with no wingers. They have to play midfielders. Rashford and Greenwood, they play midfield. So he has no service in the whole game. And what do you expect him to do when he's playing 4-2-3-1, lone striker up front? And if you watch the games, you know he dropped down. So I don't see the argument of him not working hard being particularly true. That's, first of all, that's not his job. Second, he's still doing, and to some extent he's been successful. He mostly plays number 10 in the games. Bruno Fernandes almost joins the up top, the front four. So I don't see the problem with the work rate, but the problem with the system definitely exists. So he has to work it out. The manager has to sort these things out. These things are so obvious for all of us to see. So
I
that's
mean,
my
you
take.
mentioned that Bruno generally joins up top with the four, and then it kind of becomes a 4-2-4 because
Yeah.
Rashford and Greenwood have the tendency to push up because look, Greenwood isn't a winger, but he's being forced to play on the wings. You've got Jadon Sancho, that's another issue. Rashford is someone who's very instinctive, so he wants to get on into the box, cut in and shoot. He's got that Ronaldo kind of vibe to him, and then Bruno, he's essentially a midfielder. He plays midfield for Portugal, but when it comes to Manchester United, maybe it's just been his role since the start. He just tries to get into the box each and every time or just be around the box. How do you think that affects the midfield? How do you think that affects Fred and McTominay back there?
See, for Bruno, I don't think he plays 10. He plays the the role Rooney used to play for us back then. He's almost plays the false nine role for us if you watch the games. So the midfield essentially on paper it is Bruno Fernandes and McTominay Fred sometimes, but on the field, it's only McTominay and Fred in midfield. As you said, it's a 4-2-4 system. So for Portugal, I don't see much of Portugal games, but the games I've seen, Bruno Fernandes as an 8 is very effective. He has a good work rate. He can tackle. He can track back. So again, it comes down to the manager and the instructions which he has given to Bruno. He definitely has the most free roll out of all the people, of all the 11. So he roams around mostly in the final third. So that definitely is detrimental to our midfield. McTominay and Fred are isolated a lot. So he- he's essentially a striker for us. He's not a number 10.
I mean, I get the fact that he's scoring goals and all of that, but I somewhere feel that he should be dropping deeper. I mean, he did drop deeper in the Atlanta game, and we could see the effect because he was able to connect the midfield to the attack. But leaving tactics aside, I just want your honest opinion on the fact that it has been 2.5 years of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You've seen it for 2.5 years. He's done a lot for the club as a player. He was someone who never had those ego issues. He was never someone who would, just fight with the manager for a starting spot. But as a manager, as a coach, how far do you think he's taken United from where Jose Mourinho left? What was the kind of environment around the club back then compared to, how it was before the start of the season?
So honestly, I'll always be grateful for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Firstly, as a player, secondly as a manager, for because the only reason I didn't like Mourinho personally was because of the negative aura that surrounded the club when he left. I'll always be grateful for Mourinho for the trophies he won us with. The team was always very different, expectations were different, but he still delivered to some extent. So when he came in and the first 6 months of his tenure, brilliant, very good. We played great football in the beginning, and mind you, we played 4-3-3 back then. So that was good. I didn't like it when he was given the permanent contract because we ended the season very poorly. But then again, he built the squad that we have, and I think all of us would agree that even rival fans would agree that the squad we have is probably nothing but world class. That's very different from what Mourinho left us with. So as a squad, he has taken us very further, but I think this is the furthest he can take us, and his time has been long overdue, which is obvious for everyone to see. So it would be better for both parties to part ways now. I think it's long overdue now.
I mean, yesterday during the game, we saw Sir Alex Ferguson. He was not particularly liking what he was seeing. I have never seen that kind of look on his face whenever he used to come and watch Manchester United, but we saw it yesterday because he witnessed an absolute thrashing in front of him by, his biggest rivals. Sir Kenny Dalglish was sitting there smiling because he was enjoying the whole show which was being put up in front of him. But something similar happened last year when you guys lost to 6-1 to Spurs at home. It was a 5 goal margin, probably the worst defeat you've had at home in your history. But Ole wasn't sacked after that. He was allowed to continue, and he didn't win a trophy, but he got you to a European final, a Europa League final. Do you think that the things are different this time? Do you think that because the crop of players is very much different because Ole has been backed, do you think he shouldn't be allowed to continue this time? He will be sacked regardless.
See, I thought his time was up last season when we lost to Leipzig and went out of the group of the Champions League. So Mourinho did not survive Liverpool's loss. We lost 2-0 at Anfield and he was sacked. Ole, on the other hand, has survived that abysmal 18-19 season's end when we lost 2-0 at home to Cardiff on the last day. The poor 1920 season, before Bruno came in, we were getting absolutely thrashed. We lost to Burnley at home just before Bruno signed. He has survived when we lost to Liverpool. He has survived when we lost to City in the League Cup. He has survived the 6-1, and now I can see him surviving the 5-0 as well because of the simply because of the fact that the Glazers love him. Mourinho, we saw him speak out again, not only against the manager, he spoke out against the club itself. The famous quote that he has, "This is football heritage." That's him speaking against my club, sitting there on the chair of the manager, speaking against the club that employs him, and he still survived that. But still, obviously, the relationship between him and the owners was fractured. But We've never seen Ole do that. In fact, Ole praised the Glazers, saying that they've invested a lot, which is statistically not correct. But see, the owners would love him. Why would they sack him? You tell me, why would they sack him? If we get Champions League qualification, do you see a reason for them to sack him? He hasn't won a trophy in 3 years. The squad has improved. The expectations are sky high this season. We've signed Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest player of all time. We've signed Rafael Varane on the top of his powers. We signed the most coveted mercurial winger, Jadon Sancho, after crying out for right winger since years. And you expect him to just be fine with just Champions League qualification. We don't, but they definitely do. Malcolm and Joel Glazer.
But leaving the Glazers out, you've also made some changes in personnel. You've got Murto coming in, you've got Darren Fletcher coming in. Even though we don't know what the role of Darren Fletcher is. Okay, I mean, he's completely just playing with vibes, man. He just comes on for a rondo casually in the middle of a training session, and then he just disappears. I have never seen it at games. I don't see him sitting a lot of times, but I don't know. Maybe he's there. So, do you think that is supposed to have an impact? And the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo is back at the club, even the Glazers know that he's going to bring in so much money. If they keep lowering the standards of the club, of the team, Ronaldo's going to leave. Why is he going to stay? And Sir Alex Ferguson certainly knows that. Sir Alex Ferguson still has a big say in what the club does. We saw that with Cristiano Ronaldo. And Ed Woodward is bound to leave. We already have his replacement. He just has to, let him take over. Do you think Ed Woodward would want to go out with a bang by making the right decision for once and getting in a new manager? Is Sir Alex Ferguson also gonna influence that decision? Because I'm pretty sure that he's part of half of the board meetings these guys do anyway. So is that gonna have any effect?
I can see that happening definitely the way you phrase it now because see, there's a lot of the silence right now is very loud, especially after the defeats. There's usually a press release saying that the owners retain their complete, they back the manager. He's taken us this far, so his job is secure. We haven't seen that so far, so probably that's a good sign. But the Glazers and Ed Woodward, I mean, yes, he would like to have such a, leave with a bang, leave with a good decision. But Ronaldo, no, he's not going to stay. If this stays, the situation remains the same this season and next season. There's no reason for him to extend that 1 year, which he has in the. I think he has a 1 year extension clause in
Yeah,
his
yeah, he
contract.
does. He does.
There's no point he does that. He'll be 40 in like a couple of years. Why would he stay here? He would like to. He said that he would want to end his career at the very high. On paper, yes, Manchester United Premier League, this is very high, but trophyless seasons for Cristiano Ronaldo, there's, he's not going to stay. He's going to leave. Emotions aside,
In,
I would be fine with him leaving. I won't blame him.
I mean, yeah, you can't blame him specifically because he did play around with City, but once you guys came around, he blatantly rejected City to come to Manchester United. So there is some sort of loyalty, some sort of sentimental connection that he has with the fans. He's always been very vocal about it through the media as well. But speaking of all of this, there are certain names out there in the market right now. There's Zinedine Zidane, there's Antonio Conte, there are other people as well. So do you think United are finally going to go for a competent manager because of the pressure they have on them right now? Maybe go for someone like Conte or Zidane, because from what I've heard, Ten Hag is not willing to come and leave Ajax in the middle of the season. Someone like Graham Potter is really loved by the fans because of what he's doing with Brighton, but I don't think Graham Potter is ready for a job like that at the moment. He needs to take another step of maybe manage Spurs or someone. So that really just leaves out two choices. It's either Zidane or it's either Conte. So what are your feelings about them both when you
You
see them?
highlight a good point. When Mourinho left, there was no top level manager which was, to say, free. Only candidate was Pochettino, and he was employed, and we were in the middle of the season. So what Glazers did was, I think it was correct. They employed a temporary manager till the end of the season. This time around, you named two of the best managers in world football right now who are proven winners in different. Of course, Conte is known more for being like a quick fix for the leagues, and Zidane, of course, has managed the biggest club in the world, one of the biggest club in the history, Real Madrid, has a Champions League medal to his name. So definitely situations are different. we definitely have options. But when you talked about Graham Potter and him having to manage one, like a step up club. See, we got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from Molde, and the only addition on his CV was he relegated Cardiff. And even Molde fans, there are videos out there. Molde fans were not happy with him. Yes, he won them a trophy, but they were not happy with him. So don't be surprised if we make such an addition to our squad in the managerial candidature. So it's nothing bar the Glazers, but definitely the
I mean,
situations are a
there
lot
are there
different.
are there are a very few things which the Glazers won't do to shock you. So there's no arguments there. They've already done a lot for the club, sarcastically speaking. But the problem which arises over here is that players and their contracts as well. Paul Pogba hasn't extended. I know he isn't loved or adored by all the Manchester United fans. You probably don't like him that much, but it's hard to deny the fact that he's a world class player. He's a
On
world
his day.
class player. On his day, he's a world class player. And he has those days constantly with France. I don't know how, but he does. Then you've got Donny van de Beek. If Ole stays, I can see Donny van de Beek leaving in January. For me, he's left already. I don't count him as a part of the squad anymore. And then of course you've got Ronaldo. He has his own standards when he comes to any club. And then there's also the pressure of Jadon Sancho, because Jadon Sancho right now he hasn't been playing particularly well. Not to blame him, because he has been played out of positions a lot of time. He wasn't even brought on yesterday, even when the team was 5-0 down. So that's another decision to think about. And then you've got Anthony Martial, Cavani, whose contract is going to end. He's free to negotiate with clubs in January. So I mean, if a managerial change doesn't come in this week or next week, or close to the international break, you possibly lose out on all the depth you have, the depth which you are known for. I mean, you look at the Manchester United bench right now, and it's scary. There's so many world class players, and if Ole stays, half of them are gone. So, what are your thoughts on that?
That's true. That's true. We have a lot of contracts expiring because United is very notorious for giving out like ridiculous contracts to players in ridiculously weird situations. We gave out a contract extension to Phil Jones, to Smalling, and even to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a couple months ago. But see, Paul Pogba, he has he doesn't have as many options as he had 2 years ago to leave the club. I know Barcelona were interested. I know Madrid were interested. I know PSG were interested. But right now, he doesn't have as many options, and he's also open to staying. But again, the same with Ronaldo. If the situation stays the same, why would he want to extend here? Why would he want to waste his prime years, which he's apparently entered, to stay here and slog off, trying to win the ball back from the defense and spray it out to a non-existent midfield? So I don't see him staying. Even Cavani, Ole's plan, we all know Ole's plan is to bring in a long-term striker, or if not, then to bring a quick fix, something like that, because he sees Mason Greenwood as the future number 9, but he doesn't play him in the striker position. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how he's managing him, but definitely players are going to leave. Donny van de Beek is frozen out for no reason whatsoever. He's gone in January regardless of the managerial position, I suppose. So yes, we are going to be very, very, very shallow on the team sheets next year. So
Not
there
to
are big.
forget, Jesse Lingard might leave as well.
Yes, definitely. He wants game time. He's not getting any here, so might as well leave because his performances warrant game time. He's been game changing whenever he's come on. So all of them
Once
stake a
against
claim.
young boys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's an exception, but
Yeah.
you get the point.
He lives up to his name. He lives up to
Yeah,
his
he
name. Game
definitely
changer.
does. He can be a starter for most of the clubs in the Premier League, even many of the clubs abroad. So they definitely stake a claim. But we need a manager who can manage all of these egos, all of these claimants into the 11 somehow week in, week out. And Ole is not doing so. He's using most of the players like a bar of soap. He plays them with injuries, he plays them regardless of their form. So we definitely need a managerial change here, I think. And as quick as possible, because if Ole stays, as you said, if he's not sacked 1 or 2 weeks after this thrashing, then I probably won't be sacked till the end of the season. Why waste the whole year? So, but if he stays, players know they're not headed anywhere. Why would they extend?
I mean,
So,
I've been checking my Twitter feed, since the morning and even since last night. It's good to see that there's no particular backing of the club, when they say that, we want to back Ole till the end or he has our trust, because it certainly seems like there has been a loss of trust over the past 2 weeks, because United only have like 1 point out of 12 possible points in the Premier League. They've already lost 13 points, out of the possible 28 with a squad like that. And, things aren't looking easy. If things go like this, Ole is going to start losing the dressing room. He's going to start, he's not really going to be respected by the fans, because, they will be able to see that, he's just logging off, and he just wants to be here because he signed a contract. He doesn't care about the club. So what I've been hearing from certain insider sources and stuff is that the clock is ticking. Ole is gonna go. He has to go now. I mean, I know you don't believe ITKs and stuff like them, but a lot of them have been saying it's time to pack his bags. The ball isn't in his court right now. And this is somewhat going to be similar of a sacking of Jose Mourinho. Nobody heard about it, but the news just comes that he's leaving. That's it. That's what it's going to be like with Ole. We don't know whether he's going to resign or whether he's going to be sacked. But for a lot of people, Zidane is the clear favorite to come in and take over, specifically because despite the club being in Manchester, English not being his main language, a lot of your players speak Portuguese, Spanish, and French. Three languages which Zidane knows perfectly. So he might be coming in. That might be a good thing for you, and he certainly knows how to turn a mid-season disaster into a Champions League winning season. That's what he's known for. So hopefully that can happen. But before we end the video, final thoughts on certain things which people don't really like to voice out so much. Thoughts on legends like Gary Neville coming out and putting the players under the bus for performances like these. Thoughts on Paul Scholes being honest for once in his life, despite saying that United have a better defense than Chelsea. And what are your thoughts on, where do you see United going from here? Because midweek you've got Atlanta, Sunday you've got Spurs. If you are in charge of Manchester United right now, do you give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a chance to just play it out against Atlanta, maybe get sacked with a win or something like that? Or will you be like, I don't care if I have a replacement or not. I don't care if Zidane has said yes or not. You're out. You're done. We'll go with an interim manager if we have to.
See, if I'm in charge of United, Ole doesn't get appointed in the first place. But considering if I'm the manager right now, he gets sacked after the game. He gets sacked today at 1:30 p.m. press release. He gets sacked today. I don't give him time anymore. Talking about legends, see, I might come off as a very vehemently Ole out person, but you would know I was not the same like a few months ago even. I loved Ole and I still do as a player, and as the guy he is, he's a good guy. Players would walk through a wall for him. Definitely, we know his man management skills are good, so that's a good thing. But we don't need people learning on the jobs. At here in Manchester United, we need winners. We need quick fixes. So when talking about legends, see, most of them are a disgrace. The way they speak, the way they conduct themselves, it's a disgrace, really. See, Paul Scholes not known for his good, good punditry or even his good coaching. He has contradicted himself on many occasions. So, can you imagine what sort of a manager you will have to be to prove Paul Scholes right for once? He was correct. You try 4-4 against Klopp or any other team with a particular system. Like Klopp is known for pressing. You isolate your two ineffective DMs like McTominay and Fred against them. What do you expect? This was bound to happen. Gary Neville, I mean, for a normal fan, for a normal football fan, he would know. They would know them for the way he spoke out against the European Super League. He almost voiced for the fans. But at the end of the day, he's just vouching for his friend now. He won't speak out against him. He has confessed on Twitter he won't ever say that Ole should be sacked because it's his friend. And okay, I don't blame him. I wouldn't do the same if I was the same in this situation. I mean, if one of my friend was in charge, definitely not. But
If
as
I
a
were in
fan,
charge.
yeah, I wouldn't. I would be vouching for Shivam and all
But
day.
trust me, I would be better than Ole. We
I
would be
mean,
bringing home the treble if I was in
I have
charge.
no doubts in it. I have no doubts. I would be playing for United if you were the manager. So yeah. Apart from that, Gary Neville speaks disgracefully. The whole commentary, I put the games on mute sometimes because of Gary Neville or change the channels. The way he points the fingers at everybody but Ole. He'll point the finger at even Sir Alex if it were to him, if it was given to him an option to do so, to save Ole, to defend Ole. He has never called him out. Only Roy Keane has been very honest. I know people don't like him for his cocky attitude and behavior, but he most of the time he speaks the cold truth, and people don't like the truth. Ole is not cut out for the job anymore. He was good as the for a manager and as a player, his career has been known as for being a substitute, game changer. Yes, he was the substitute for Mourinho as well. He changed the game, and now it's time to go. It's time for a better manager to come in and take us further, take that next step. We're not doing so for them. We're wasting this season if he stays in charge. We're wasting the players we have in charge, and United are headed for the absolute. He said yesterday that we've had rock bottom. This is not rock bottom. We've unearthed the core. We went below. We've discovered new levels. This is not rock bottom. So we're wasting everything, and I don't see United, going back, or as he say, I think he regards the Premier League as a bouncing castle or whatever. But he always says we have to bounce back. Look at ourselves in the mirrors. I mean, do whatever. Install how many mirrors you want in the dressing room. This is not going to improve. These are team mistakes happening same way against. Same things happen versus Aston Villa. Same things happen versus West Ham. Same things happen versus Young Boys. So this is obviously on the manager, right? It's not on the individual. So we're wasting our season. We're wasting the players' potentials. We're wasting the players' careers. We're wasting fans are wasting their money going to the matches. So it's time for him to leave. With all due respect for whatever he's done, I think it's time for us to move on and make a change. And it's also not about if, it's about when Ole is going to be sacked. So that's all I think.
Well, you said 1:30 p.m. UK time. There's still time in that, according to our time zone. So hopefully it's at that point of time then. But if it's not today, then maybe it's going to be around the international break. For me, I think it's about, if they are planning to sack him, then I don't think United want to go with an interim manager again, because an interim manager is going to be someone like Michael Carrick, and if the players have already stopped responding to Ole, that means they've also stopped responding to Carrick. So there's no point of having him for the Atlanta game. So I think it's about how quick they can find a replacement, how quick they can get a yes from someone like Zidane, Conte, or anyone else. But let's see how the situation pans out. Regardless of whatever United has been doing, it was great having you here. We'll definitely be looking forward to more honest conversations with you regarding United. Having an unfiltered point of view, something that is not biased with the media. But till then, I think it's goodbye. Thank you so much for the podcast. And
Just a
before
closing
we
thought.
leave,
Can I add something in? Just a
sure,
closing
sure,
thought. For all the
yeah,
United fans watching, I know I just said in the video that I don't expect them to do so, the Glazers, because they love the yes men. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to the money they make. So Ronaldo staying, Pogba staying, Sancho being happy, and us winning titles makes them more money than Solskjaer staying and waiting for him to learn on the job. So I mean, I won't rule out the possibility. So yes, let's wait for 2 or 3 hours to see what happens.
fingers
Till then,
crossed. Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries at all. And for everyone who watched this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with more content. Till then, see you.